Hi everyone, so I'm going to talk to you about compact cameras versus digital SLR cameras. Choosing between a compact or point and shoot and a digital SLR camera is often the first big purchasing decision when starting out with photography. Not only is it potentially a big financial decision, but it may also determine what type of shots you'll be able to capture. In this video I hope to wipe away the marketing hype in order to highlight only the most important differences between each camera type, thereby helping you decide which is best for you and your shooting style. So what exactly does it mean for a camera to be a compact or an SLR? Strictly speaking, SLR cameras have viewfinders that see the same light as the light that will impact the camera's sensor. More on this later. But in practice, this isn't the only distinction. The three common differences usually apply. The viewfinder mechanism, fixed lenses versus interchangeable lenses, and the size of the sensor. There's also a range of more minor differences which will vary from camera to camera. However, these three things I just mentioned are what will most impact your photography. And now I'll tell you what these three differences actually mean in practice and how your photography style will be impacted. So, the viewfinder mechanism. Unlike compact cameras with an SLR, what you see through the viewfinder is the same light that will reach your camera's sensor when you press the shutter button. When you press the shutter button, the mirror flips up and the light that was formerly being rerouted to your eye gets sent straight to the camera sensor. The flipping up of the mirror is also what makes the clicking or snapping sound that we've come to associate with SLR cameras. With a compact camera, however, the viewfinder mechanism just tries to estimate what light will reach the sensor, so it's potentially less accurate. Now, compact cameras may also use what's called an electronic viewfinder, which attempts to recreate what the viewfinder would see by using an electron image from the sensor, if that makes sense. The need for a mirror is one of the reasons why SLR cameras cost more apart from the sensor size, and can make a big difference to your pocket. However, in practice, the sensor size and ability to change lenses will likely make more of a difference to your photography. Now, this is especially true since many camera owners choose to use the rear LCD screen instead of the viewfinder. And on the other hand, if your work requires seeing exactly the light that will be captured, or should you simply prefer to use the viewfinder like I do, then you should certainly opt for an SLR. Otherwise, you can usually still see exactly how that light will be captured by looking at the rear LCD in live view mode or by using a live histogram. So that's viewfinders covered. Time to move on to lenses. Now, the fact that you can change the lens on your SLR camera is likely the first difference that you'd notice. Yes, many compact cameras can use lens adapters, but the original lens still remains on the camera. So why would a camera need more than one lens? Well, I'd imagine it's quite difficult, if not impossible, to design a single lens that can be used for a wide range of styles used by photographers, and doing so without losing quality or portability. Each style is therefore far better suited by a single special purpose lens. Now, in practice, being able to change your lenses usually means that you'll be able to use wider lens apertures, which will enable a shallower depth of field or better low light performance. And you'll also be able to use specialised lenses such as ultra-wide lenses, fisheye lenses, extreme telephoto or macro lenses, which will give you more creative control. And finally, you'll have the potential to achieve better image quality, primarily because your lens will have been specifically designed for the task at hand. However, there's obviously a downside to this. Using more than one lens will mean that you need to carry more lenses with you, therefore decreasing the portability of your camera system. And you may need to change lenses every time you wish to change shooting style, and you could get dust onto your sensor each time you have to change lenses, which can reduce your image quality. Of course, you could choose a short telephoto lens, which should cover most situations, but then the quality will suffer. Not to mention, if you choose a compact camera, you are stuck with whatever lens it comes with, usually a decent quality and can handle a wide range of situations. However, what if you scratch it or smash the front element? The camera is then rendered useless to you. So that's lenses covered. Time to move on to sensors and why they make a difference. Now, in general, compact cameras have much smaller sensors than an SLR camera, and it'll make a noticeable difference in your image quality. So what difference does it make in practice? Well, cost. Larger sensors are much more expensive to make and usually require more expensive lenses. Now, this is the biggest reason why SLR cameras cost so much more than compact cameras. And weight and size. Large sensors require much more heavier and larger camera lenses and camera bodies because the lens need to capture and cast light over a large sensor area. Other than reducing portability, this can also be a disadvantage because it makes you look much more conspicuous with your large SLR camera and lens, which makes street photography much more difficult. Now, depth of field. Larger sensors create a shallower depth of field at the same aperture setting. Now, if you had a sensor at f4 on both an SLR and a compact, your compact camera will create a sharp background, whereas with the SLR, it'll be blurred. Now, image quality. For the same number of megapixels, larger sensors have much larger photo sites. I've explained what photo sites are in my camera sensor video, so go watch that if you don't know what I'm talking about. Now, this increased light gathering area means that these pixels will be more sensitive to tiny amounts of light, resulting in less image noise. Now, this means that an SLR camera can usually get away with a much higher ISO and still have the same amount of image noise as a compact camera with a lower ISO. And dynamic range. Another consequence of having physically larger photo sites is that SLR cameras can usually capture a greater range of light to dark without it becoming solid white or black. Now, this reduces the chance of blown out highlights in the sky or other bright objects and can preserve more details in the shadows. So hopefully I've covered the major differences. So moving on to the minor differences. I'll start with compact camera advantages. Now, you've got a permanent live view rear LCD. Now, some cheaper SLRs don't have it and some rubbish screens because most SLR users don't use them, so the manufacturers cut down costs. And you can usually get a range of pre-programmed creative modes. Now, you know what I mean, a compact camera with 101 different filters and stuff. Negative, clay, sepia and stuff like that, whereas you don't get them on DSLRs. And you don't have a mirror shutter mechanism, which means that less bits in your camera, there's less bits to fail eventually. Now, for the SLR camera advantages, typically you get faster autofocus. Again, typically you get much less shutter lag, which is delay between pressing the shutter and the start of the exposure. And you can get higher maximum frame rate, you can have raw file format support, although most high-end compact cameras do have it. And you also have the ability to take exposures longer than 15 to 30 seconds using manual or bulb mode, though some expensive compacts can do this. And you can have complete control over your exposure, and yes, some do have it, and you have the ability to use an external flash, and most compacts can't. You also have manual zoom control by twisting the lens as opposed to using a button or the fiddly switches. And you can have a greater range of ISO settings, which some high-end SLRs have been able to use up to 12,800 ISO with little noise. The ability to upgrade just the camera body and keep all of your lenses, which is a great advantage, as it means that your lenses are the main investment and you can keep your lenses forever and a day. However, many of the differences follow from the fact that you can spend a lot more on an SLR than a compact. If you spend enough on a high-end compact camera, you can often get many of the features typically found on an SLR camera. Now, cost aside, many people prefer to own both types of cameras. That way they can then take their compact camera to parties, little family gatherings, but can also have an SLR for when they wish to capture indoor subjects in low light, or when they go in somewhere specifically for photography, like a photography holiday, or simply for better image quality that can be achieved with an SLR camera. Now, the battle of compact versus SLR is all down to the individual. How deep are your pockets? What will the camera be used for? How often will it be used? And is there really any advantage for you to invest in an SLR? Do you really need 80 megapixels, raw files, external flashes and a faster autofocus when you want to take photos of the kids opening their presents at Christmas? Not really. So I hope this video was useful to you, and now you can go and make up your minds on what you think is best for you. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.